Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Filipinos from different parts of Europe stage a protest at The Hague, Netherlands, to show their support for former President Rodrigo Duterte. However, several groups also held a press conference to seek justice for the victims of the war on drugs.
OCTA releases new survey on voters' party list preferences. The question now is, which parties are leading the race?
Manibella's three-day transport strike starts today. Now let's check the situation on the ground later on in the program.
Starting today, Monday, NLEX Corporation offers free toll for all motorists traveling from Balintawak to May Kawayan. This will last until all lanes in Marilao are fully open.
Filipinos from across Europe gathered in The Hague, Netherlands to show their support for former President Rodrigo Duterte. Meanwhile, attorney Cristina Conti believes there's a zero chance that Duterte will be granted interim release. Jovi Francisco has this report.
After the speeches on stage, the Duterte supporters who are based in nearby European cities lined up to take a photo with Vice President Sara Duterte.
Be strong, and then we believe on him and we love him very much.
Sana po makauwi na si Tatay Digong. We love you! Sana makauwi na si Tatay Digong. We love you so much!
Overseas Filipino workers filled up a big portion of the Het Malieveld Park Sunday for a meet and greet with the VP. This, they say, is also their way of showing love and support for former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is detained here at The Hague.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tatay Digong. Happy birthday to you. One more. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tatay Digong. Happy birthday to you. Tatay Digong, we love you.
They sang the birthday song, other known Duterte anthems, and chanted their demand, "Bring Rodrigo home."
Duterte! Duterte!
On stage, the Vice President gave updates about her father's condition.
Tumigil na siya sa kakahingi ng Pinoy na ulam dahil parang hindi talaga kaya nung nagluluto sa loob ang Pinoy na ulam. Pero nagpadala ako kahapon ng PDF file ng mga recipes na pwedeng sundin nung nagluluto.
Off stage, she discussed to the media what his father told her about the case against him at the ICC.
He's very confident about the legal arguments, and there is no case to begin with. I'm here until the entire team is set up. The entire legal team is set up, and I come up with a scheduling with my siblings on who will stay here and when.
She also shared that in their most recent conversation, her father told her to bring him home.
Pero lagi niyang inuulit-ulit talaga, ibalik niyo ako sa Pilipinas.
But according to attorney Cristina Conti, there's a zero chance that Duterte will be granted interim release.
For the four crimes, main crimes that the court tries, crimes against humanity, crimes of aggression, genocide, and war crimes, no interim release has been granted by the court for any of those accused of these crimes. So, from my point of view, there is zero probability that Sara Duterte or the Duterte camp could bring home Duterte by May 2025.
And as the Duterte camp prepares for Digong's 80th birthday, those critical of Duterte's war on drugs are preparing for a birthday surprise this coming weekend.
Duterte panagutin! Duterte panagutin!
Ng mga kababayan natin, hindi lamang dito sa Europa o sa Netherlands, but all across the globe, yung nalalapit na birthday ni dating Pangulong Duterte ngayong darating na March 28. ang bayan, ang Bagong Aliansa Makabayan at iba't ibang organisasyon sa ilalim nito all across the globe ay nagkakasa ng isang Global Day of Action. Panawagan para sa tuloy-tuloy na pagpapanagot kay Duterte.
Reporting from The Hague, Netherlands, Joby Francisco, We Are One News.
Let's now bring in our first guest today. We have former Integrated Bar of the Philippines President Attorney Domingo Cayosa. Attorney, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us again.
Morning, Angelo and Angela. Magandang umaga sa inyong tagapagkinig at nanonood sa inyo.
Opo, Attorney, siguro po what to expect in 6 months before Duterte's ICC pre-trial or yung confirmation of charges?
Well, we expect the process to unfold. The prosecution will have to show the defense yung mga ebidensya, mga testigo nila, and then so that the defense can properly prepare for the initial trial. Secondly, it's also possible that the defense is preparing pleadings questioning the arrest, questioning the jurisdiction of the ICC, and perhaps asking for provisional liberty.
Yes, Attorney, a while ago, I don't think if you heard the soundbite of Attorney Cristina Conti, sabi niya zero probability daw ang for interim release for the cases that is being charged against former president. What are your thoughts on this statement?
But we cannot and we should not preempt the ICC. But basing on what is happening on the ground and the purpose for and basis for provisional liberty, medyo malabo nga. Sapagkat an accused is granted by the court provisional liberty as long as there are solid grounds for them, especially that the accused will come back and face trial. Sa ICC, bawal yung trial in absentia.
Yes.
Pero dito sa mga pangyayari na kung saan malinaw yung mga sinasabi ng mga kapartido niya at mga kakampi niya na dapat sa Pilipinas siya, dapat korte sa Pilipinas ang maglilitis, talagang wala silang balak bumalik sa The Hague. So it will be foolhardy for the ICC to grant him provisional liberty. Also because even up to now, yung risk of flight is very real. So in all probabilities, no court would allow suspect in its custody to escape and easily hoodwink the court to allow him temporary liberty tapos hindi na siya babalik. So from implications, medyo malabo.
Attorney, usually, for reference lang, usually pag nag-interim release granted, are they allowed to go home to their country of origin or within the within the area?
Well, usually they play safe dun lang sa area, but there have been instances where the ICC allowed the accused to go home. In one particular case, and I think they learned the lessons from this, one warlord in Africa, in a country in Africa, na akusado din sa crimes against humanity and war crimes, pinauwi. Pagdating sa kanilang bansa, nawala o pinagpapatay lahat yung mga witnesses kasi nga ma-influensya pa rin sila. So in that particular case, I suppose the ICC has learned its lessons. They would rather keep him, grant him perhaps, if ever, temporary liberty, but he stays in the Netherlands.
Within the
within
the premises pa rin. Pero if the interim release is not granted, Attorney, a possibility that Duterte can seek yung ang tawag dito to drop the case outright by arguing that ICC has no jurisdiction. Kasi sabi po nila noong July 2023, yung appeals chamber, they moved to continue the case outright without talking about jurisdiction.
Well, they can still raise that, and I think that will be a proper time for them to raise the issue of jurisdiction. But if you again look at the previous rulings of the pre-trial chamber and the ICC, they have already ruled by a majority vote that they have jurisdiction. So it will take new evidence, new arguments, perhaps, for the ICC to say eventually they don't have any jurisdiction. So much has happened already, and they are already geared for trial.
Sa panig naman po ng prosecution, ano naman po ina-expect natin sa kanila no, in preparation for this pre-trial?
Well, we expect them, I suppose, and from the way the ICC has issued the warrant of arrest, they've already submitted sufficient evidence to show that the crimes against humanity happened in the country because they were extrajudicially killing the suspects, and that the former president was involved in it as an indirect co-perpetrator. So the court was already convinced with that initial salvo of evidence for them to say there's reasonable ground to believe that the crime is committed and that the accused or the subject of the warrant of arrest, President Duterte, is involved. But they have to level up the evidence that they have to make it proof beyond reasonable doubt.
Pero
Also possible
Yes.
that now that Duterte has been ex-President Duterte has been arrested, it's also possible that there will be more witnesses and perhaps some members of the PNP and the Davao Death Squad, meron na silang dalawa.
Yes, that's right.
The PNP might be convinced to tell the truth, and we don't know what the government of the Republic of the Philippines will do if they request to subpoena records of the PNP. Kasi hawak ng PNP yung mga records yung mga natokhang Hindi lang nila dinalabas.
Attorney, I'd like to ask also, no, specifically kasi si former President Rodrigo Duterte had several statements as a Quadcom. He also had statements as a president directing kill. There was a
mga sound bites.
may sound bites na release a few days ago again saying pilitin yung maglaban, and then later on may retraction saying it was all in jest. Could these statements and sound bites and sound clips be used given na urong sulong, may mga sound bites din na dinideny niya na sabi niya joke lang naman. So how would the ICC then take this into consideration?
Well, those sound bites are material and relevant evidence. They were given extrajudicially, out of court, freely, and in public.
Yes.
So they are not inadmissible. They are admissible evidence, and they can be, though they may not prove the actual killing, they could be corroborative evidence to discuss yung kanyang indirect participation. The other evidence that would be very weighty is the fact that as President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Uniformed Services, nung nangyayari yung mga tukhang, wala siyang sinabing ihinto yan. And there was no serious prosecution of those who were suspected of involved in EJK. So that's another thing. There are two things that are relevant. His action in goading or encouraging the extrajudicial killing, and the other one is he was in control of government. He was in control as mayor of Davao and as Republic of the Philippines president, yet he did nothing to stop the massive extrajudicial killings. He did nothing to seriously investigate, prosecute, and hold accountable those who are suspected of having done the EJK. So, all of these mga ebidensya, they'll all be put together, and that's the challenge for the prosecution.
Oo. Taking off from Diego's question po kanina, no? Kasi the first and last appearance of FPRRD sa Quadcom hearing, marami po siya yun nga po sinabi doon na talagang would probably implicate her. Pero ang sinabi naman po kasi ng mga taga-Quadcom, hindi po sila makiko-coordinate with the ICC regarding this investigation. But yung mga sinabi po niya doon and yung mga iba pang mga records, public naman po yun, pwede po yun ma-access if ever.
That's true. Even if the Quadcom or the government of the Republic of the Philippines refuses to cooperate and provide evidence, these are public records. These are video clips. So unless they can show that these were splies or these were fake news, it will be relevant, and the court will look into it. Of course, he will be given a chance to explain his statements there, but to an impartial and objective and intelligent court, hindi na ubra yung joke-joke lang yan, joke-joke lang yan. So serious matters, siguro dito sa Pilipinas, sa mga vloggers, sa mga politiko, sa mga spokesperson niya, pwede nilang gawin yun. Nasabi tayo sa mga ganyang palusot eh. But in other courts, I think they'll be less inclined to believe na joke lang mga ito.
Attorney, I've also heard some arguments that sinasabi ng mga iba na possibly gawin daw ni Attorney Kaufman on behalf of President Duterte that he will maybe try to argue that these policemen had the free will to do what is right because being an officer daw and a gentleman, they should have discerned a rightful order and a wrongful order. So therefore, they will say there's no documentary evidence daw that will directly say na utos mismo directly ni Pangulong Duterte, but rather it was rhetoric daw. So they might pin it on the people daw on the ground. What are your thoughts on this, Attorney?
Well, that's a possible defense track, no? But we have to understand the charge is not murder by direct participation. Crimes against humanity by murder by his direct participation. It says by his as an indirect co-perpetrator. So hindi naman nila sinasabi siya mismo. So this may be material and relevant, but they don't carry that much weight. What is important is that what was the effect of his statements, and more telling would be why did he not lift a finger to have all of these EJK cases investigated and prosecuted properly. Medyo mahirap niyang explain yan. Of course, that's the beauty of a trial.
Yes.
He'll be given a chance to explain whatever he said and why he did not do these things that were supposed to have been done if you as president and commander-in-chief and mayor were in charge of things happening because crimes were being committed left and right. They're not isolated EJKs. It was happening all over. Plus mga public pronouncements niya. So, it's not that easy to convince the court to totally disregard these things.
So, Attorney, yung case against former President Duterte, would this be the same cases that si Senator Bato would have if ever he is issued an arrest warrant? Would they be tried separately or parang conspiracy na talaga ito na pareho silang same evidence ang gagamitin against them?
Well, most probably similar evidence to a great extent. But the charge will be the same. If you look at the warrant of arrest, there are many other top-ranking police officials and government officials who were co-respondents, and they just redacted or blacked out their names for security and practical reasons. So I presume that if and when warrants of arrest will be issued against these other persons whose names were redacted in the warrant of arrest against ex-President Duterte, it will be for a similar offense.
Okay.
There might be a few details that would be different, but basically, pareho lang yan. Titignan din siguro eventually ng prosecution and the court if any one of them would want to turn witness for the prosecution to save his own skin.
Lastly po, attorney, kasi sinasabi nga po doon sa ICC documents in the website, you will see daw po that there are other 9 individuals that are tagged perpetrators po dito sa kasong ito. And most probably, kasama daw po dyan yung PNP chief, which is Senator Bato de la Rosa and others po, no? Will we be going to be expecting po na the same manner of, let's say for example, nagkaroon po ulit ng mga arrest warrant po dito sa atin para doon nga doon sa other 9 individuals na yon. Ganun din po ba yung mangyayari na dire-diretso na rin sila ngayon sa The Hague, makukuha, or may laban pa po dahil since alam na nila paano gagawin, may laban yung defense na hindi po sila madala sa The Hague?
Well, I think they will be treated equally because that's the rule of law. Persons similarly situated should be treated equally. So if and when there is a warrant of arrest against them and Interpol against us for the cooperation of PNP and the Republic of the Philippines, malamang ganun din ang mangyayari. unless, of course, the administration has a change of heart in the meantime, or unless the Supreme Court will issue a ruling in these many petitions filed against the government, questioning this process of serving the warrant of arrest and the jurisdiction of the ICC. But so far, the latest indication we have is that the Supreme Court considered the petitions, but they did not issue a TRO.
Yes.
So the presumption of validity and legality of government action so far with respect to helping Interpol serve the warrant of arrest remains.
Yes.
And even in the different, in the legislative hearing,
Yes.
the executive has sufficiently and ably explained the basis for its action. So we would expect the same, barring any very significant about-face in the policy of the executive.
Attorney, last na lang ako before I hand it over to Diego. Yung sa pagbalik po natin doon sa usapin doon sa confirmation of charges, sa hanay po ulit ng prosecution, dito po ba malalaman na natin kung sino yung mga key witnesses na ipepresenta ng prosecution?
And even before that, the defense will have to know. That's the reason why it's not kaagad. Because everybody should be, hindi ho uso sa International Criminal Court, in many courts, and it's also starting in our local courts, hindi na pwede yung taguan ng ebidensya. Yung mabubulagta ka na lang kung sino mga witnesses. So there is transparency, because if you're confident with your case or with your side, you should be brave enough to name who are the witnesses, what are the documents, so that the other side also will have a chance to scrutinize, to check them out, and prepare counter evidence. So this process is all in the spirit of transparency, fairness, and faster pace of justice, para hindi yung taguan ng ebidensya, hindi uso ho yun. Yung thinking kasi natin sa Pilipinas, ganon. Kasi yung ating experience. But ibang-iba ho in other jurisdictions, more so with ICC.
And finally, Attorney, before we let you go, I'd like to maiba lang ng konti about your statement about saying si Solgen Guevara should be dignified enough and a gentleman to resign. But up to today, he still enjoys the trust and confidence of the President. Do you think even if he still has the trust and confidence of the President, he still should, as a lawyer, give up his position?
Well, that's his call. Yes, as I explained, the question of conflict of interest or incapacity to defend a particular client or a particular point in law is with the lawyer. So, call niya yun. No? We are not demanding that he resigns, but what we're saying is it's also an honorable thing to do, to resign if you cannot really defend your clients. Because ang kliyente naman talaga ng OSG would be the Republic of the Philippines and all its officials implementing the policies and directions of government. It would be unfair also for these high government officials sumunod sa direktiba ng chief executive. Ngayon, kinakasuhan, kina-question sila. Tapos yung kanilang abogado sa batas, by law, the OSD should be the lawyer, hindi daw niya kaya o unwilling siya. So that's just an option. Now, we've heard that Malacanang or the president at the very least said, I'm not asking him to resign. So that's his prerogative also. If he wants to stay in that position and he can live with the internal conflict perhaps, or with the inability to defend government in these particular cases.
All right, Attorney, we won't hold you much longer. I know you're a very busy person, but thank you so much for your time. That was former Integrated Bar of the Philippines President, Attorney Domingo Cayosa. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat. Good morning to everyone.
In other news, the National Bureau of Investigation is looking into potential financial backers behind vloggers spreading fake news on social media. This follows the arrest of a vlogger in Cebu who denied receiving payment for spreading false information. The NBI is monitoring at least 20 vloggers suspected of disinformation and collecting evidence to pursue legal action. Director Jaime Santiago emphasized the agency's commitment to addressing fake news with both the Technical Intelligence and Cybercrime divisions focused on the matter.
All right, Pope Francis is back at the Vatican after surviving his most serious health scare yet, a 5-week fight with double pneumonia. Here's the report.
Pope Francis made his first public appearance since February 14, just before being discharged from Rome's Gemelli Hospital shortly after noon on Sunday. The 88-year-old pontiff had been battling double pneumonia, the most serious health crisis of his 12-year papacy. As he emerged, he was greeted by a crowd of well-wishers who had been praying daily for his recovery.
Abbastanza bene, speriamo che continui per molti anni perché gli vogliamo tanto bene. Veramente è un papà, è un amore di padre.
Sensazione di gioia, è un testimone del Vangelo fino in fondo e ci dà speranza.
Before returning to the Vatican, Francis made a familiar stop at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, a church close to his heart. He left flowers at the altar, a tradition he has kept throughout his pontificate, even in times of illness. Though his doctors say the Pope is breathing on his own, Francis continues to use oxygen and will need at least 2 more months of rest. He has been advised to avoid large or stressful gatherings, while his body continues to heal. As he traveled back to the Vatican, the streets were lined with supporters chanting his name.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. There is a new addition to the so-called Budol Gang linked to the alleged misuse of Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential funds. House Deputy Majority Leader Paulo Ortega V uncovered new fake names allegedly submitted by the OVP and DepEd. These include Amoy Liu, Fernan Amoy, and Jog de Asim. According to Ortega, these names have no birth, marriage, or death records, with the PSA raising serious concerns about fund disbursements. He warned that the mounting evidence points to a deliberate scheme and urged Duterte to face the allegations in the upcoming impeachment trial. Earlier, fake names such as Mary Grace Piatos, Jay Camote, Miggy Mango, and Xiaomi Ocho were also uncovered.
Grabe. Umuusad na yung case ni former President Duterte sa Hague. Ito naman si VP Sara. Umiinit ang mga issues sa kanya.
Yes, 4 months until the impeachment
Grabe itong mga
trial.
names, no? Ang napaka-creative naman ng mga names na ito na binigay. Ang question naman kasi dito is, pwede naman magkaroon ng names sa ganyan kasi confidential funds. Ang question is, meron ka bang secondary book, black book, na may naka-attach na documents on the real name and contact numbers? Kasi usually ganun daw protocol eh. You have to have 2 books. You have to have yung books na pinipresent mo na in confidence na sa auditors with the attached numbers and contact details if ever gusto nila mag-audit or
Diba meron daw parang, diba may specific provision in that law? Sinabi sa atin ni Attorney Nery Colmenares at the time that we interviewed him na may parang dapat kang ilagay doon kung saan yung nanggagaling talaga yung confidential funds mo, yung mga sources mo, which is, in essence, merong specific person lang yung makakakita, pero wala atang ganun.
Walang ganun na attach.
Yun ang hindi natin alam yet. Pero yun nga, good yung point na sinasabi ng isa sa mga prosecution panel ng impeachment complaint. I forgot lang the name niya. Pero sinasabi niya na the longer na hindi magawa yung impeachment trial, the longer there is a possibility na matamper yung evidences.
Oo, kasi there's enough time to... We're not saying that.
Yun ang yung sinasabi niya.
That's why
possibility. That's why in the Constitution, nakalagay doon sa kanilang interpretation nila ay forthwith.
Hence the term, everyone has a right to a speedy trial.
Yun, parang gano'n.
Okay. Let's move on. Several Filipino POGO workers in Myanmar are seeking help after enduring mistreatment by their employers. One worker named Maria revealed they face punishment for failing to meet a daily quota of $2,500. Her sibling, also a worker in Myanmar, said the fear is growing among the workers, especially since one of them is pregnant. Last week, 6 more Filipino workers arrived at the POGO hub. The Department of Foreign Affairs is in continuous talks with the Myanmar government.
Sobrang hilo daw po kagabi. Tapos, masakit daw po yung tiyan. 3 lang daw po yung naibigay muna nilang pangalan kasi yung 3 po hindi pa raw po nila nakakausap.
In other news, let's check the situation on the first day of Manibella's 3-day nationwide transport strike. We have mobile journalist Ivan Tarinque on the ground. Ivan, kumusta ng sitwasyon dyan? And let us know what's happening.
Diego, Angela, nagsimula na nga yung 3 araw ng 3-day strike ng grupong Manibela kanina pinoprotesta nila yung hindi tumpak na bilang ng mga jeepney na sumali sa government consolidation program. Dito nga sa PhilCoa, kaninang 4:30 AM pa lang ay nagtipon-tipon na yung mga miyembro ng Manibela, pero sa ngayon umalis muna sila para mananghalian at maya-maya tingnan natin yung update kung saan sila tutungo naman maya-maya. Ayon sa kanilang bilang, sa bilang nila may mga rutang matatamaan, kasama dyan yung pasadang Fairview Calaw, Fairview Quiapo, PhilCoa Calaw at Lagro Panay. Meron din silang mga ilang strike centers within Metro Manila. Kasama dyan yung sa Las Piñas, Monumento, Nagtahan at sa Pasay. Bilang tugon naman dito nga sa transport strike ngayong araw ay naglaan ang pamahalaan at mga LGU ng mga libreng sakay sa mga apektadong ruta. Kanina dito sa may Quezon City Circle, nakita natin yung pila-pilang mga bus na libreng sakay na pinapamahagi ng Quezon City local government. Pero kanina nakausap din natin yung ilang mga commuters kung nahirapan ba silang mag-commute ngayong araw. Ani nila, hindi naman daw nahirapan sumakay ng jeepney ngayong araw. Yung iba nga nagulat na meron palang transport strike ngayong araw. Diego, Angela.
Yes, Evan, meron din kasi isang grupo ngayon na nagrarally in support naman of the modernization program or consolidation. For perspective lang, Evan, gaano kalaki ba itong grupo ng Manibela as compared sa yung grupo na nag-consolidate na?
Yes, Diego, dito kanina, nasa 20 people, 20 persons yung miyembro ng Manibela na nagprotesta dito sa PhilCOA. Pero kasabay niya, no, pero hindi lang naman sila dito dahil nga, no, marami silang mga strike centers within Metro Manila. Yun nga, nabanggit natin sa Pasay, sa Nagtahan, at sa Las Piñas. So may mga strike centers sila sa iba't ibang lugar sa Metro Manila. So not necessarily daw na kung ilan lang sila dito, ganun lang daw sila karami. Marami daw sila sa iba't ibang lugar. At yun nga, may inaantay pa silang mga sasali pa. Maya-mayang hapon kasi yung iba, no, kadalasan kasi na nangyayari sa mga strike, yung ibang mga miyembro ay sa umaga bumabiyahe. At pagdating ng hapon ay titigil na. So may mga ganung scenarios, pero kinlaro sa atin nung ilang mga miyembro kanina na hindi naman sa pilitan yung kanilang pagsama dito sa strike. No, dahil naiintindihan naman nila na yung ibang mga super may mga kailangan talagang kumayod para may maiuwi sa kanilang pamilya. Diego?
Evan, for the benefit of our viewers, no, ano yung mga areas na karamihan sakop ng grupong Manibela para if ever alam nila, maiwasan nila or they could take alternative modes of transport?
Yes, Diego, dito sa PhilCOA, no, doon sa miyembro ng Manibela na nakausap natin. So yung mga miyembro nila ay may rutang Fairview-Calao, Fairview-Quiapo, PhilCOA Calao at Lagro Panay. So yun yung dito sa may bandang PhilCOA area. Pero meron daw sila sa may bandang Manila, banda at ibang grupo naman yung nandun. Pero so far wala pa tayong information kung ano ba yung mga rutang apektado doon. Pero kasama niyan nagkaroon na ng suspension of classes yung iba't ibang schools sa Maynila, just para nga mapaghandaan dito nga sa magiging transport strike ngayong araw. Diego?
Actually, yung suspension lang ng face-to-face, no? Ang ibang mga eskwelahan ay talagang nagtuloy pa rin, pero online na nga lang. Pero, Evan, may mga nakausap ka bang mga commuters dyan ngayon? Kumusta yung kanilang experience ngayong merong strike na nagaganap? And nakita mo ba yung mga supposedly tulong ng gobyerno, ng pamahalaan na ito para sa mga commuters, yung mga palibreng sakay nila?
Angela, kanina may mga nakausap tayong commuters, no? Ayon sa kanila, hindi naman daw sila nahirapan na mag-commute ngayong araw, no? Kaya yun nga, nagulat nga iba na, may strike pala ngayong araw. Pero kanina nag-ikot-ikot tayo dito sa may Quezon City Circle, no? Nakita nga natin yung ilang mga bus, no? Mga libreng sakay ng LGU. Yung talaga nakita natin, marami talagang pila, no? They taking the chances na baka nga ma-stranded sila. Pero sa ngayon, Angela, nakikita naman natin, sa observation natin dito, maraming mga jeep, UV, at mga modern bus, at mga bus na patuloy na bumabiyahe dito sa may Quezon City. Angela.
Of course, Evan, I'd like to ask ano yung traffic situation right now. Dami nagtatanong kasi may nagreklamo na kaninang umaga daw, medyong extra special daw ang dami ng volume ng vehicles.
Yes, Diego, ikot ko na lang kayo para makita natin live kung ano yung itsura ngayon, no? So sa ngayon, makikita naman natin, ito yung part na may PhilCOA, no? Ito yung papuntang circle.
Okay.
Lalo papuntang circle, makikita naman natin maluwag yung daloy. At yun nga, makikita natin a handful or numbers of mga PUV and mga modern jeeps na nakikita natin na bumabiyahe ngayong araw. At dito usually yung tambayan. Dito madalas yung mga tao sumasakay. Pero makikita natin may mga ilan na lang na natitira, no, na nag-aabang ng kanilang masasakyan. Diego?
All right, thank you for those updates. Ang mobile journalist Ivan Teringke, stay safe.
Meanwhile, NLEX Corporation has announced a free toll for northbound vehicles from Balintawak to Maykawayan starting today, March 24. The free toll will last until all 4 lanes in the Marilao northbound area are fully reopened. Repairs and traffic adjustments are ongoing to ease congestion and restore normal traffic flow. For its part, the Department of Transportation thanked NLEX for its swift action on the agency's request. The DOTR earlier requested this toll relief due to motorists affected by the damaged Marilao Bridge. The iconic tour of Luzon is set to make its grand return starting April 24, bringing together local and international teams for a thrilling competition. Here's the report.
The Tour of Luzon, the country's premier multi-stage cycling race, is making its much-awaited return this year. The race will feature local and international teams competing across 8 stages in 7 provinces from April 24 to May 1. Organized by Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation and Dockworld PH, the comeback of the event aims to elevate Philippine cycling to new heights.
This is a great partnership, in any sporting event. kung walang media, kung walang organizer, kung wala yung NSA, Phil Cycling, kung wala yung Philippine Olympic Committee, kung walang corporate sponsor like Metro Pacific Tollways, mahirap yan. So ang importante, we all believe the Tour of Luzon is a great event. Talagang gusto ng Pilipino, mahal ng Pilipino. And then let's put all our resources together, our skill in organizing, so that every year we can do this, the great revival of the Tour of Luzon.
Philippine Olympic Committee President Bambol Tolentino expressed optimism that with the support of MPTC, the race will carry on every year.
Matagal nang inaantay ng mga tao to. Bata pa tayo noon, sikat na sikat to eh. And na-revive naman nung huli, nung Air 21 with the support of MPTC. Every year na yan.
Metro Pacific Investments Corporation Director Ricky Vargas emphasized the importance of the race and shared his enthusiasm for its return.
Napaka-importante kasi to us, yung cycling represents a lot more than just the cycling, di ba? I spoke about wellness. I spoke about tourism. The community, that's who we are in MPTC. We build communities, not only roads. So that's very important to showcase what we have. Ang balik ng Tour of Northern Luzon, susunod na yung Tour of Luzon, susunod na yung Tour of the Philippines. So panoorin ninyo, enjoy every moment of it. Kasi like in any other sports, you don't watch the game only or stay and see the auditorium. You see the countryside. So every journey, every pedal, the countryside is part of it. So manood kayo, manood kayo.
Cyclists will vie for the prestigious Perpetual Trophy and a portion of the 1 million peso prize pool.
Ito yung North Luzon leg. I remember Tour Luzon is a very prestigious when I was a kid. No? Pag sinabi mong Tour of Luzon, talagang papanoorin mo yan.
Inaabangan.
My uncle used to cover that. The late Benji Castro used to cover that Tour of Luzon. Alala ko yan na kami ng daddy ko manonood kami, tapos may popcorn pa kami niyan. Mga popcorn pa noon, hindi pa din microwave eh. Diluto sa
Niluluto pa sa kalan.
Niluluto pa sa kalan. Alright, don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Bilang Pilipino,
14 party list groups, mostly incumbents, are leading the latest survey conducted by OCTA Research. The four-piece party list topped the results with 5.74%, followed by ACT-CIS at 4.83%, Galing sa Puso at 3.88%, Tingog at 3.54%, and Ako Bicol at 3.51%. Other leading groups include Uswag Ilonggo, Duterte Youth, FPJ Panday, Bayanihan, Nanay Senior Citizens, Ang Probensyano, Abono, Tupad, and PPP. 4 of the top 14, namely FPJ Panday, Bayanihan, Nanay, Tupad, and PPP, are not currently represented in Congress. Additionally, the survey suggests that 16 other party list groups such as BHW, Malasakit at Bayanihan, One Rider, and Solid North could secure seats in the upcoming elections.
Now to discuss this survey further, we have OCTA Research Fellow Dr. Guido David. Doc, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning to the angels of One News again. So,
that's a good one.
Doc,
thank you for joining
us.
us.
And also the viewers, listeners. Yes.
Doc, I was looking at the top party list, and I cannot see a party list that supposedly represents the minority. I see big ones that are linked to big politicians. Now, what do you think is happening? Number one is 4Ps. Do you think they're getting number one because of the recognition na kala ng tao, ito yung ayuda program?
Well, unfortunately, I think that is the case na, in fact, when we look at the list of party lists, a lot of them are using parang acronyms or initials that have name recall. May mga iba nga, BFF, may BBM, may Bagong Pilipinas, or so they're writing on the names of well-known programs din, like 4Ps, as you said. And I get it din naman. In a way, this is like marketing. But you're right, Angelo, na parang it's like big businesses are prevailing. Those, backed by big politicians. Essentially, in the political world, these are big businesses. And the party list system is supposed to represent the minority or the mga fringe groups.
Yeah.
Yung mga underrepresented groups. For example, meron ba nagre-represent sa mga ATAs or sa mga sa mga cultural minorities natin? I don't see that in there. Yes, may mga party lists supporting, let's say, teachers or certain worker groups, pero is the party list system still still serving its purpose that was originally intended?
Correct.
I think that is a question that should be addressed.
Yeah.
Ayun nga, kasi I think few months ago, yung Contradaya has released nga a report saying some of these party list groups, hindi talaga sila nagre-represent ng marginalized group. But although kasi dun sa batas natin ngayon, meron dun sa Supreme Court na sinasabi na okay lang kahit hindi ka nagre-represent, basta meron kang advocacy. No? Kaya dun ata nakita ng ibang mga party list group yung pagkakataon na yun. But Doc Guido, ano pa po ba yung mga ilang factors na nakita natin aside from those that you've mentioned na talagang matunog para sa mga kababayan natin? And for the past few years po na nakita natin yung mga party list such as yung mga makakaliwa na sinasabi nila na party list, hindi na po talaga silang nakakasama dito sa mga nananalo.
Yeah, because nag-shift na yung voter preference for party list. So before talagang may traction yung mga maybe the left-leaning groups, or at least those with mga solid advocacies for the people. Pero yun nga, it's become more of not just a brand recall, pero a lot of local politicians are supporting certain party lists. May mga party list sila na sinusupport mismo. And if that happens, then although on paper may advocacy itong mga party list na ito, but really, I mean, it sounds like they're just really supporting the local region, in which case nagkakaroon ng redundancy because we already have representatives in Congress who represent, localities, diba? That's why may representative tayo, may sectoral representatives tayo. And if these local politicians are also the ones who are winning the party list, and then parang may redundancy, and again, nawawala na yung yung intent ng party list system.
Oh, pero last na to, no, before I turn over to Diego, to the question po pala, Doc Guido, yung ginamit para po dito sa survey na to.
Well, we use a standard framing na, we just have a list of, party lists here. And if the election were held today, kung sino yung pipiliin nila na iboboto. And to be fair naman, even those na wala sa top 32 na party list, they still have a chance. But of course, hindi ka top of mind if you don't do advertising, if you don't do campaigns. Yeah, so it still boils down to having finances and resources to support your campaign. Kung walang resources, may hirapan yung ibang party list, even with those with good intents. For example, may mga OFW party list, may mga senior citizens party list, and then may mga of course, shout out ako sa I mean, not being biased, but friends ko kasing nasa HEAL PH party list, sina Doc Flavier, and sina Doc Eric Tayag, their advocacy is universal healthcare. But maybe they are not able to cascade, for example, the messaging to the public. So that's why, they're not getting support, at least in the surveys.
Doc, based sa list na kasi nakikita ko, we were talking kanina na yung 4Ps is number 1, meron ka pang abono, may PPP, meron ka pang yung mga recall names na that kinda parang they connotate na they are of a certain ayuda program, no? So does this then say that yung party list, those who vote for the party list belong to the lower social classes and hindi nag-resonate masyado sa upper middle class ang party list?
Well, not necessarily, because on the ground, I hear that even some from ABC, I mean, they like getting ayuda. I guess everybody loves free money if they can, if they're given free money. So I think hindi lang naman exclusive sa DNP yung yung impact ng mga ayuda-based systems. And but yeah, itong mga party lists that are advertising as kunyari 4Ps or ganyan, yun ba yung advocacy nila to provide ayuda. And I should also state here na I'm all for helping the Filipinos who are in need of help, pero we're not a welfare state din naman, and this is not a long-term solution. This is not a sustainable solution. We really should have long-term programs like siguro mga trabaho, livelihood programs that will be more sustainable.
All right, on that note, maraming salamat po muli sa inyong oras, OCTA Research Fellow Dr. Guido David.
In sports, Ginebra took a 3-2 series lead in the PBA Commissioner's Cup Finals after defeating TNT in Game 5. The 73-66 win marked the first back-to-back victories of the series and put the Gin Kings one win away from the championship. Scotty Thompson sparked Ginebra's gritty performance, earning praise from head coach Tim Cohn. Cohn said Thompson inspired the whole team with his efforts that couldn't be measured by stats or scores. Ginebra can close out the series against TNT in Game 6 on Wednesday, March 26 at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Oo, pero kalimutan ko may quote ako.
May quote ka ba?
Nandyan sa kan. Pero sige, well, that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. By the way pala, local campaigns officially starts today.
Ayan na, play by the rules, tsaka mga poster sizes.
Yes.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.